So, hi everybody, welcome to this interview. I have a pleasure today to be doing interview with Ulises Moreno-Serena. Have I said it correctly?
Yeah, you got it right.
Okay. Which is my, everywhere I say that he is my amazing Mexican friend. So it's honor to do interview today with you. And like that. So, Ulises, I just wanted to ask you in the beginning if you could introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. Well, so I run this project of Teatro Aplicado, CDMX, which aims to promote and perhaps eventually professionalize both applied theater and drama therapy. I did postdoctorate on transdisciplinary studies and investigation. I have a PhD on mental health and MA in psychology, and I did my bachelor's on dramatic literature and theater. And well, it has been since 1999 when I got to get in touch with drama therapy, and I got very interested in it. Actually, my first interest was drama therapy, and it was not until 2017 when I got interested in applied theater. Like when you are so focused on something and then you discard everything else. But I think that both fields of study are quite interesting and quite beneficial for humanity. So I also have a day job because, well, it's the way I found to secure myself. So I work at a mortgage institution here in Mexico, which is from the government. And I have been working on human resources since I got there. So I have had the opportunity to employ the knowledge I have had before I get in. By the time I was finishing my BA, I wanted to go to Concordia to do the MA in drama therapy. However, it was not possible. And so I began to have a practice on the use of theater as an aim of helping others with their situations. I did back then a diploma on neurolinguistic programming and also on systemics theory. And since Concordia had this particular requirement for their prerequisites, I began working with at-risk children on an association. And that led to having a private practice on consultation. And so then I got into this organization and employed the knowledge I have had into working with the working environment there and several educational dynamics. And that is something I'm still doing. I also love the power theater brings to working places, and I think that's if we want healthy societies, the working places are somewhere you have got to work on. As we all
working places.
Yeah, working environments.
What do you mean by that?
Offices, organizations of every size.
Okay, so it's not some kind of special term.
No.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I was asking.
Yeah, don't worry. So yeah, it's something I love doing also. And currently, I'm doing the alternative training track of the NADTA.
Oh,
I think that for my specific goals, it's something I need to do, although in Mexico is not going to be recognized or anything. But I think it's important to go to climb that mountain.
yeah. So there is no training in dramatherapy in Mexico?
No, drama therapy in Mexico is not a recognized form of therapy. Music therapy has achieved a place in the psychotherapeutic ambience, but drama therapy is not. As it's also not dance therapy, and creative therapies are like somewhat recognized, but for the case of dance and drama, they are not. But also in Mexico, psychotherapy is not as regulated as in some other countries. Um, and actually, the psychotherapeutic scene in Mexico is more dominated by the behaviorist approach, although there are also a lot of humanistic approach therapists, Gestalt, client-centered, you name it.
Yeah.
So also, although several attempts have been made to promote the use of theater as a therapeutic mean, they have not been successful enough. And I mean, it's not something to be dismotivated about, as the efforts have been growing over the time. The Some investigators, Vasquez and Yepes, had a research showing that from 1980s there have been some efforts on trying to employ theater in schools with special population and stuff, but they have not had the continuity, and this has to do a lot with schools, not only with the psychology field, but also with the theater schools. They have not found shelter onto their faculties so as to promote it with more strength. Susana Pensic and Domingo Ferrandis have been also advocating to make it happen in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Much luckily, Universidad Veracruzana has had a different view from other theater schools, and they have had I believe, two diplomas, one in 2015 and the other one in 2017, specifically on theater as theater as a healing tool. And they have also had some other diplomas on applied theater. It is justifiable because that school is the only one in the country that has incorporated within within its curricular map the aspect of theater beyond the cultural setting, which does not happen in several of the other schools. So these efforts have been happening, and they are happening with less separation of time, which is something positive. Right now, I have knowledge of like 4 or 5 people doing drama-based therapy, which can be called drama therapy, or not all of them. We also have this situation where, from the humanistic approach, in specific from a Gestalt school, there has been some interest on promoting the theater as a healing methodology. So there are like several fronts occurring at the same time, which is not also rare on some areas when they are born. Psychodrama has been embraced also in Mexico. They have had several years of history. I believe that since 1980s they are working in the country. Although they do not tend to get too involved in having any sort of formal recognition or licensing or anything of the sort. Basically, we can say that's the panorama in Mexico, and I believe it is important for us to change it to have more leverage on more leverage and play in the mental scene field.
And do you have any plans about it? How to promote it? To change it?
Yeah. At first, I'm trying to get some of us into the World Alliance Association. It's not something it's not something regular, as we are not into an association. And World Alliance just accepts associations. So we are trying to get accepted perhaps as listeners or some sort of quality, which allow us to get in touch with other countries' experiences, so as to collect their knowledge and learn from them, and make synergy within the different efforts occurring in Mexico to finally get into an association and do the other whole political thing you have to do, which is not easy and also not cheap. So that's one part of it. The other part of it is I would like to have in the future these. I run a diploma through Applied Theater CDMX. And this diploma covers from theater in education all the way to theater as a mean of developing mental health, with some knowledge based on drama therapy. And so the idea is that this diploma might evolve into 2 master programs, one about drama therapy and the other one of applied theater. I'm not like this kind of person that waits until schools or associations or whatever decide to make things happen. I believe that if you create the synergy around it, then that will lead to things happening. So I'm not sure about how far will I get under this race, but just running it is good enough.
And it's lots of work. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And I was thinking about the applied theater field. Like, I'm very, very into theater of the oppressed. So I was wondering if it is influential in Mexico or not.
Yeah, theater of the oppressed is known in Mexico. There are some renowned groups of theater of the oppressed. There is an encounter that just happened this year. No, last year, I believe, in March. And they gather groups of theater of the oppressed from Latin America. And it happens, but it doesn't happen like very institutionalized. So there are some teachers that know it, and there are some private groups that know it and that work with communities, and it's something that is kept alive by the belief and the commitment of those who are in love with it. Um, I can talk about a group which is called Teatro Sin Paredes, which I believe is perhaps the most popular here in Mexico, or well, the most known in Mexico. And they have worked with associations, with private organizations and public organizations. They also offer public performances of regular theater and theater of the oppressed. During the pandemics, they worked online through Zoom, and they have had some very interesting results, I believe. And I also believe that working through online media allowed more people to know about theater of the oppressed, well, foreign theater in this case.
Wow, wow. Okay. And as you spoke about all those things you need to do uh, to elevate dramatherapy in Mexico, I was thinking I had a very lovely talk with Maria Chodymarska once, and she told, like, in Czech Republic, like, I thought that we are trying to catch up on the West, on the Americans, on British, and she said, "Don't do that." She said, "You have your own tradition, follow that." So I was wondering if there is some kind of, this like Mexican culture tradition in theater which could really enhance it.
Well, theater in Mexico has different venues. So you have like a theater which is for entertainment. You have theater which is done in the community basis. You also have this theater which is very intellectual, very from the universities, like from labs and exploratory theater, which has a very strong tradition within, especially on our main university, which is called UNAM. And then there is like all this theater that is independent. Right now, during the past 6 years, politics on the way culture is handled has been changing, and it has been affecting a lot of the independent groups and all of the community-based theater. So, on that sense, I believe most of them are very much worried on struggling on how to survive, how to maintain themselves, and I'm not really looking towards drama therapy. Drama therapy is not under seen. And another thing that affects is that this is something that is taught on the universities. They teach you to think about theater as something just cultural, and which its objective is to some sort of reflect to society about themselves, and in like just by watching a play you will achieve some sort of change or transformation, which I believe it's debatable. So I believe a major change has to occur within each drama school for these things to change, and for people to see beyond the scope of cultural theater. So I don't think that quite the strength of having drama therapy into Mexico has to do with these particular sort of groups, but it rather has to do more with Mexican traditions. We have a culture that is theatrical in its own sense and right. I don't know. I'm thinking about the way we relate to death through our rites, and the way that Catholic faith has promoted several traditions within the country. Our ethnic dances, they are all charged with theatricality. And then I believe that that might be something that drama therapy could look into in a way to find a specific cultural approach to Mexican culture. That's gonna have to be something for the future, I believe. But it's very interesting. One of the people that participate as I forget the word. That give lecture. Thanks on the diploma. She studied a little bit of anthropology, and she has a BA in theater, and she did drama therapy diploma on Chile.
And what is her name?
Yeah, she is Karina. I will get to her last name later. So Karina was telling that she studied one rite that happens in a town in Mexico. Is a religious tradition, and she was going through that direction of how this construction of a liminal space within that tradition was something valuable for the structure of that society, and how that promoted positive things for the mental health of them. So in that sense, I believe that some work might be done on that area. And well, Karina Castro is her name.
Okay, cool. I was just thinking about Antoine Artaud.
Yeah,
and he wrote about a black sun, some kind of ceremony in Tarahumara.
yeah.
So I'm just wondering now if it's just kind of colonizing Western view. I don't know if you read it or like.
Well, I don't think that's like colonizing or something. I just believe that he was looking for some other experiences to explain himself, and that's what he wrote. I mean, I don't understand that ethnia because I haven't been in touch with them. The Tarahumaras. I don't live nearby Baja California or Sonora where they are based, or that's their territory. I sure know about the most typical things of them. And I believe that in order to understand their culture, you would have to be really in touch with them, which is something I believe Artaud didn't do. He just get involved in that ride because of his aim of searching, for himself.
Yeah. It felt like he was searching for that kind of theater he wanted, ritual theater.
Yeah. So I believe that thinking of health and mental health in the way that the World Health Organization promotes or proposes as something that is of the proprietary of the whole society. I believe that more and more people has to get involved in its taking care, and more accessibility has to come to people in the society. And in that sense, I believe that something like drama therapy and applied theater on their own scope can and have the power to promote health within population, because while in talk therapy you would have to express directly the situation that's leading you to that particular space, in drama therapy and in applied theater, you can get engaged and get involved and develop trust within the group by the means of dramatic play and the dramatic encounter, which builds a much safer space for the whole of the group. And in that sense, it can help into showing people that therapy is not something to be afraid of, and where you can safely explore and get in touch with your emotions and your thoughts without the fear of them getting so overwhelmed by them. And in that sense, I believe that promoting drama therapy and applied theater in Mexico is of relevance. Right now, there are some major issues regarding violence in several parts of the country. For instance, we are hearing about persons being killed by by mafia and stuff. So we are in the need of spaces of peace and spaces of connection. And I think that's something to work on.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask you about your work now with clients, or what are you working on now?
Well, I'm working several things.
I thought so.
I have the diploma, which runs on Saturdays, and it opens. It's calling on August, so it begins in November. And I'm also holding a space for applied improvisers, which streams from the Applied Improvisation Network, which I also participate in. And I am promoting also model of the expert intervention into aiding non-professional first-hand caregivers into taking and defining their self-care. So that's one thing. I'm also promoting right now a group to a therapy group project on helping young adults into navigating uncertainty. These sort of issues that you face when you are becoming an adult, like perhaps 17 towards 20, whatever, when you are having to deal with the issue of becoming independent and don't know what to do with your life, and having this enormous uncertainty about future and how life will be for you. So that's one of the most recent things. There is also something I'm developing. It's a device which is framed within a theatrical frame, but it's basically drama therapy. And that one is aimed for people that has been diagnosed with some sort of degenerative disease, on the aims of aiding them into better their relationship with their body. As when you get the diagnosis of how your body is changing, the feeling of the changing of your body leads to the mistrusting of it. So the aim of that work is to allow them to process that experience in a way in which they can discover and relate to the things that are positive with their body at the present time, and accepting how it has changed. So it's gonna have some playback, some narrative, different things. I'm still doing some research on that so as to have the whole device prepared. Also, well, I do some other sort of investigation. I'm working for to have an article about the relationship of how attachment to the housing, to your house, how attachment to your house might be a way to prognosticate its impact on mental health. Forecast. Yeah, to forecast. I got stuck in that word.
Okay,
Yeah, so that's another one. And also, I developed an outline of neurodramatic play into aiding perinatal depression. So the structure of the outline is already done. And well, now the next step for me would be to do the treatment with persons and collect how effective it is and perhaps the adequations it might need.
And could you please explain what is neurodramatic play?
Sure. Well, neurodramatic play is an approach developed by Sue Jennings, and is a developmental approach which began in a way of it began with children, but it proved to have more applications on some other populations, and it can be explained because attachment is something that is affecting our biography throughout our whole life, and as such is something that you have to look into for developing good mental health. I mean, attachment is totally linked to your own sense of security and your own sense of belonging into the world. So, in that, from that lecture, you cannot say, "Oh, it's something that happens within this period of time," and so it is developed under a structure which is the sensory play and messy play. Then you got which is under the APR, and then you got neurodramatic play, which is actually that's CPR, and then you got theater of resilience, which is like a formal approach to develop some sort of behavior, to learn and adapt new behaviors, perhaps. So under that structure, play and allowing yourself to relate into a more relaxed and healthy way is promoted. Sue has taken a lot of consideration about the neurological discoveries of Vanderkamp about the three brains and how stress makes us use our brains in a different way and makes us react towards the stimuli in a different way.
And I was like, if you could tell us that your direction, how you apply it, that your idea about working with women with perinatal depression. Am I saying it correctly?
Yeah. Well, when I began this work, Okay, I'm gonna share something a little bit personal. Well, actually, not totally mine, but whatever. Um, so, uh, my mother, when she was pregnant, she was facing difficult times. When she was pregnant of me, she was facing difficult times, and she shared with me at some point how uh, the whole of the pregnancy was of sadness to her, because she was like worried about how onto what sort of context she would be bringing me to the world. Like having this enormous amount of responsibility, and that was something that she experienced because of several factors that were occurring during that moment of time. Later on, I had the opportunity to work with some pregnant women, and the experience of vulnerability at present in their narrative, it's really it's really at present, and it contrasts with so much of the social narrative about, you're pregnant, you are now at bliss, and you are glowing, whatever. So I began to wonder how discrepant the whole situation is for them. And I was like, thinking about how this role of motherhood falls all of a sudden onto them, whether they are looking intentionally to get pregnant or not. This role pops out of nowhere, and the whole of the society begins to let you know that you are not the same. And thinking about that is, like very violent. Like you're not having enough space to adequate your identity into accepting this new role.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Perinatal depression, you can see it in several ways, but let's state for the benefit of this conversation that it goes from the beginning of the conception and all the way past the born of the baby, and in which the risk of facing depressive symptoms might go beyond the year after the baby was born. So that shows for me how much a person might need to incorporate a new role into their lives. And in some way, one can get concerned, because women, because of our, well, at least in my country, women are raised like from a very, very tender age to be good mothers. They are led to play to feminine uh, roles or chores, So uh, under that context, one might think that perhaps they are like more prepared to adopt and answer to that new role. But in reality, no one tells them about mood swings, nauseous, aches, and also, giving birth is a traumatic experience. If something gets not so quiet, baby's size might lead to having to do an incision on the vagina. Not talking about C-sections.
Yeah.
So they are at that moment a vulnerable population in the need of support. And in that way, I believe that NDP has enough resources to aid them into the process of trying to connect with the child and with themselves without the pressure of having to answer onto a role, but like getting the connection of one organism to another, and then having the time to allow the person to define how that motherhood is going to be, and on to accepting then the idea of their motherhood style. Because no matter what society says of what good motherhood looks like, each and every mother is different. And each and every mother has their own different styles of relating to their young. So why not empowering the person to define and get to know what the newborn is really in need of? Motherhood is not something you are going to exercise for a month. Motherhood is something you're going to exercise for a life. So you might better take care of yourself and take care on the amount of investment of effort you are doing into that. But because newborns, perhaps it varies, of course, depending on the newborn, but they might not need as much effort as the new mother thinks she might have to.
And I was wondering, is there something concrete what you use from NDP?
Oh, the outline is a 10-session program. Of course, these 10 sessions, might get different for each individual.
Of course.
But well, it's how it's sectioned. And we go all the way from the basis of NDP, messy, sensory. Then we go into EPR. Then we go onto rhythm, rhythmical play, and all the way to theater of resilience. I believe you have to do all those things, as each one of them is aiding the individual into developing this new form of attachment, not only to the person, but also to the unborn or newborn.
Okay, now I'm thinking about it. Yeah. Okay, and so you're now writing some kind of sorry, I forgot the words. Outline for it.
Yeah, I wrote it. It details the proposed exercises for each one of the stages.
Okay.
It has well, I think that some of the exercises are very uh, tailored to the specific needs of this population.
And could you, as kind of a trailer towards your work, share just one exercise?
Okay. I'm gonna get you with a story. Is that okay?
Yeah, love to.
Okay. So this is a story about King Green. Sorry, the title is Hate Green King.
Hate Green King.
Yeah, let me just find it so I can tell it correctly.
It's your story?
Yeah, it's my story.
Oh.
Um, okay, so Hate Green King. It was a spring, and while for many people it was a time for enjoying, the people of Warasu were faced with an enormous task. No one knew why, but the king hated green color. He couldn't stand seeing it, and because of that, he had ordered that each and all of the green of the kingdom must be eliminated. And because of that, the subjects of Warasu had to color paint everything that were green. It was somewhat funny to see blue, white, yellow, or red grass. Despite of making their kingdom a very colorful place, one couldn't avoid missing the green hills or eating a green salad that has been not modified. The situation was coming to a breaking point until one of the chancellors had an idea. He told the king he was at an imminent risk since color green was more present than what he was led to believe. As being composed by primary colors, it was present in many other colors. The only way to protect the king was by him using a pair of lenses which would show everything in gray color. In panic, the king agreed to wear the protective glasses. At first, the king felt alleviated as his life would not be jeopardized. But soon he found himself trying to watch over the lenses to see some of the colors surrounding him. Gray was not enough. The king called the chancellor and asked for the lenses to be removed. But, Your Majesty, if the lenses are removed, you are at risk of having to tolerate some or all of the green present in other colors, said the chancellor. I know, however, I have discovered that I value more being able to see those other colors. If having to learn how to tolerate green is the price I have to pay for not having to see life in gray color, so be it. I will learn to tolerate it.
Wow. It's beautiful. Lovely story.
Yeah, it makes me think about, how many times we chose to ignore or disregard some sort of experiences of life, like just watching it through the colors we like.
Mm.
And how important those colors we might not like to see in life are also part of the whole thread of the life experience, and how by avoiding them, we are diminishing the same colors of life itself. Uh, so, in this kind of work with perinatal depression, this story uh, has to do with that same attitude. Like, okay, So you are dealing with this, and it might have right now some things that are not of your complete satisfaction, but there might be some other colors. Why not saying them?
Yeah, I'm now thinking about all those images of what I want to see and what I'm missing because of what I'm just trying to see. Yeah, it's a very lovely story. Yeah. And so this story you tell it to mothers?
Yeah,
Your
this
client?
is part. This is part of a whole sequence of work uh, where the client is invited uh, to paint on different colors what what their life has been uh, before and after, and what it might be, and doing these contrasts of what has changed, what might be different, what perhaps might be the same or return to its original form or way. And that story is situated within that frame of exercise.
All right. And last question. I was where is it gonna be published in case anyone listening to this, which it would be interesting to read about your.
Well, I'm hoping it might be accepted for the for uh, I'm hoping it might be accepted for new publishing that Sue's leading on Routledge.
Okay.
But well, I haven't signed anything, or so
Yeah.
it's let's see, let's hope, and I'll give you a notice then.
Okay. And I will after that put it into the YouTube link when it's okay.
That'll be great.
Okay. So Ulises, I thank you very much for this amazing, lovely conversation. And yeah, and hope we will talk once again.
Yeah, it has been my pleasure, Peter. And yeah, I will look forward for repeating it.
Yeah, me too. All right. Okay.